right now on the Fan Hotline by Tony Gibson, the defensive coordinator of NC State. Fan Hotline presented by Sullivan Super Service, providing trusted plumbing and HVAC service for over 50 years. Tony going to tell us a little bit about Payton Wilson, who jumped on Cam Hayward's podcast. Cam Hayward asked, what are the Steelers getting in Payton Wilson? And Payton said this, a guy that if there is 75 downs played, I want to be out there for all 75, and I'm going to be looking to rip someone's head off on every one of them. Tony, first of all, thank you for making time with us today. I know you're in the airport right now, so we do appreciate it. 30,000 feet here, man. What are the Steelers getting in Payton Wilson?
I'll tell you, he's just a great character guy, first off. He's a great young man. But the other thing that you get, I always describe him as a unicorn. I mean, he's rare. He's 6'4", 238 pounds, runs a 4.43, and plays the game with that speed as well. Not only did he run that at the combine, but he plays fast. I mean, he's one of the best instinctive players I've ever had the pleasure to coach.
Yeah, Tony, you bring up the instincts in the measurables, the 6'4", 230-some pounds, and running the 4.43. Like, what are some of the deeper characteristics that you look for in a linebacker and that Payton Wilson has that could translate to the NFL immediately?
Well, I think the number one thing is he's a three-down linebacker. He's a guy that they'll never take off the field. He can cover slot receivers. He can cover tight ends. His length, and then he'll pull the trigger on his blitz tracks as well. I mean, he's a guy that, he just has everything. He bends really well. They could do just so many different things with him. And also he's physical in the run game. As you know, he made 138 tackles for us. So he'll pull the trigger and get downhill on people. So, he is he's everything that you want in a linebacker. He's tough. All those things. I could sit here for 30 minutes and tell you all the great stuff about him, but he's just a different kind of kid.
138 tackles, like you mentioned, 17 and a half behind the line of scrimmage, 6 sacks, and also 3 interceptions. That's the on-the-field stuff. I also understand that he has a wrestling background, Tony. What kind of a guy is he off the field?
He's a great young man, great family, grew up about 45 minutes from campus here. And he's a guy that, is very loyal. Obviously with the days that we all know in college football with the transfer portal, he could have probably went anywhere in the country and probably got a lot of money thrown at him and, wanted to stay here and see this thing out. And obviously played 6 years of college football. So, just a great, great young man, great family, and he's a Pittsburgh kind of guy.
Should his injury history be of any concern for Steelers fans? We do know that he doesn't have an ACL, but throughout your time coaching him, was he durable outside of that? And should people be a little worried and weary that his injury history has come up, and that's possibly the reason why he fell in the draft?
Yeah, it's a crazy game, as we all know. I mean, any play could be your last one, and with him, the way he approaches and plays the game, he has no regard for his body. But again, he played the last 2 years, and the numbers back it up. I mean, he was in on a lot of tackles and a lot of contact, and held up just fine. He's not going to. I'm not worried about it. We weren't worried about it here. He never missed reps in practice because we were worried. He's a durable guy and he is a tough guy. So, injuries can happen to anybody out on the field, as we all know. So, but I would not be concerned. The guy takes care of his body off the field as well. Really good with his nutrition, does the extra work in the weight room with the trainers, chiropractors, all the things that you need to be doing to keep your body right. So I'm not concerned at all with that.
NC State defensive coordinator Tony Gibson, kind enough to join us here on the Fan Morning Show. I hate to do this as a guy who didn't play the game, but Tony, I think you're the perfect guy to ask. Is there a player he reminds you of, an NFL guy that he might model his game after, or somebody that he makes you go, oh man, he did this just like X, Y, or Z did?
Yeah, Luke Kuechly comes to mind. Obviously, athletic, long, understands the schemes, and that's the thing too that you know the normal fan doesn't recognize or see. But sitting in the meeting room with him for 5 years and coaching him, you know, he's a guy. He understands schemes and what people are trying to do and how they're trying to attack him. So he is so smart, and he will study as much film as anybody in that building and know exactly how he's going to get attacked and understand how to, on how to fix all those things and just anticipating plays and all that.
Given everything you just said, do you think he could come in day one, pick up the scheme, and start?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know exactly what the roster looks like in Pittsburgh right now, but, you know, this dude is, again, I've been doing this 30 years, and he is as good as any player I've ever coached. Wow. I've had NFL linebackers, and I've had first-round DBs that I've coached, and this guy, football instinct-wise, the way he plays the game, practices the game, he's as good, if not the best I've ever had.
Tony, I know you got to catch a flight, so this will be the last thing here for you. I know with the technology these days, you can monitor just about everything with these athletes. There was a play where he came, bolting down the field against Notre Dame, where I think he was clocked at going 23 miles an hour, which is faster than Tyreek Hill ran at any point in the NFL last season. Can you confirm those numbers, or is he just flying out there and you don't necessarily need to put a number on it?
Yeah, I know one thing. I don't care who we played in the ACC or non-conference or whatever it was, but again, he was the fastest guy on the field every snap. For the last 3 or 4 years that since we've had this GPS tracking, and there's I don't know exactly the number. It said 23 something. I don't know if that's accurate, but I know one thing. There's nobody that we've ever played against between those white lines that's faster than him. So that dude, whether it's a wide receiver, a tailback, whoever it is, and so that is facts.
Well, I lied to you, Tony. I got one more for you real quick. Did you recruited Zach Frazier, did you not, or you were part of that?
I did. I recruited Zach, and we signed Zach in December in the early signing, and then we left. Dana took the job at Houston. I came to NC State. So we had Zach in camp a couple times, and I was the lead recruiter for him just because I had the West Virginia area when I was there. So he is a tough, hard-nosed kid. Again, I mean, the Pittsburgh Steelers, I think that they had the best draft class, on the board, just because, again, I have attachments to these guys, but they're great football players and great human beings. So that says a lot.
Tony, appreciate your time, man. Thank you so much. Safe travels, all right?
Yes, sir. Thank you, guys. And be assured, Pittsburgh, you're going to love Payton Wilson. He's your kind of guy.
You're the man, Tony. Thanks
Tony.
again, buddy.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Tony Gibson, North Carolina State defensive coordinator. Yeah, how about that? So Payton Wilson gets drafted 98th overall, and he's his DC his entire time there. But he recruited Zach Frazier.
I say this, and I tell the West Virginia story whenever Tony Gibson recruited me a bunch of times. But all joking aside, like he made you want to play for West Virginia. Like he was one of those coaches that walked into every high school, and if he wanted a guy, like he made you and made you feel like you could be a part of their family. And he's one of the best recruiters out there, and has been for, almost 20 years.
Yeah, he's been up for the Broyles Award at NC State the last few years.
Just talk about it engaging. You could just even hear the way he just describes, Payton Wilson there, like just how engaging he is, and he's had a lot. He's had a lot of, and he even said he had a lot of first rounders, has had a lot of DBs, D linemen, and linebackers. He's put a lot of guys in the league, and now you get to see two of them where he was the lead recruiter on go in the second and third round.
It's really telling to me that he was willing to come on with us when he was going to be in between flights.
Yeah,
because I'll tell you, if I get asked to do a radio interview and I'm in the airport, I'm not doing. I don't want people looking at me. Oh, Who's this guy? What's he talking about? Why is he getting so in depth on this football guy? It just tells you how much he cares about Payton Wilson and the player he is, too. He's not the only guy that I heard him comp to Luke Kuechly. You're talking about, I think Kuechly was a little bit heavier, but you're talking about 40 times. You're talking about recognition. You're talking about the production in college. I mean, the production numbers for Payton Wilson, dude, his last 2 years are insane. So in 2022, 12 and a half tackles for loss, 4.5 sacks and a pick. And he's an inside backer. Then last year, 138.
138 is
in 12 games, 17 and a half tackles for loss, 6 sacks, 3 interceptions, and 1 touchdown. And then 6 passes defensed, 2 fumble recoveries, 1 forced fumble. The guy's an animal. If his ACL situation was normal, this is a first-round player.
Yes.
And look, when the Steelers had him on the board and they're getting ready to pick at 98, I'm thinking, what do they need? Another receiver would be good. Defensive line, we even had as a higher need than inside linebacker. Cornerback, they desperately need. And they wind up taking Payton Wilson. And I didn't want an inside backer, but you can't turn away value.
No,
here.
you can't ignore that.
He was a top 50 player on 2 of the big guys' boards, Daniel Jeremiah and Mel Kiper Jr. Value's value. The value slaps you in the face. And this is where you legitimately talk about, you're probably not going to do it in the first couple of rounds as much anymore, especially if you think you're close. But this is best player available right here. And I think this guy's got a shot to be a Pro Bowler.
Me too.
Dude, he runs like Devin Bush and is built like Luke freaking Kuechly.
Like another good comparison is Urlacher. Urlacher was that tall linebacker that could move sideline to sideline. But that transition,
he was a safety in college,
right?
Urlacher.
That transition is almost not seamless, but you could transition 100 and some tackles to the NFL. Like if you have instincts and you're a middle linebacker and you're going from college to the NFL, like that does play.
Well, he said he's the fastest guy on the field routinely.
Choof.
All the DBs, wide receivers, quarterbacks, running backs, he's the fastest guy. I mean, I saw that video. I brought the video up. I mean, he was clocked at over 23 miles an hour.
That's humming.
I mean, are you kidding me? So I would regularly, normally, typically have a problem taking an inside linebacker in the 3rd round. When I don't think, because you signed Patrick Queen and you've got Atlanta Roberts, I don't think you needed a linebacker too good to pass up. And if you pair him with Patrick Queen now for the foreseeable future,
oh my God.
I mean, this defense went from good last year, top 6 in points allowed, that if they stay healthy, they should be right up there in the top 5 again. And we didn't have time to ask Tony there, but I would think that this guy's going to be an absolute demon on special teams. Now that kickoffs are back, I mean, you imagine this dude coming down on you at 23 miles an hour at 6'4"?
Nope.
Are you kidding me?